again. Little mishap there. Thanks, Skull Stacks. Coming back in. Yep.
Maybe Skull Stacks can remind us where we left off.
Skull Stacks, where we left off, man. Where did we leave off?
Talking about? Oh, Lord have mercy.
100-ounce bars, cutting them in half.
Oh, yeah. So 100. So, yeah. So the, I love big bars. I love, but for me, there's probably going to come a point where I'm done stacking, and I don't know where that is yet. I was kind of saying that I've watched the videos of these big YouTube channels that, do their full stack reveal, and they've got 5,000 ounces. They've got, 6,000 ounces. And to me, that's awesome. But holy smokes, that's got to be cumbersome, dude.
Yeah. That's a lot of storage.
A lot of storage, a lot of liability, dude. A lot of risk.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I saw a video of this coin shop that they had someone come in with a bunch of bullion that had been through a fire. Their house burned down.
My God.
And their stuff wasn't in a fireproof safe. And they had almost all numismatics, junk silver, walking liberties, Benjis, certainly pre-64, and some of it like early late 1800s stuff. And they're just going through, they're weighing everything to determine what it could possibly be based on the weight. And obviously they were going to get less than melt for what they had.
Yeah.
And it's like, they had so much stuff. They had so much silver, and it was all in a garage in coffee cans. So to one degree, you can say like, well, good on them. They were doing their due diligence and being good stackers and everything. But, they weren't being responsible in terms of storage. So,
yeah. See, now I've been stacking since I was 18 years old, and I'm 26 now. So I've been stacking a long time, and I have a lot of silver and I have a lot of gold, and I actually have 3 safes to fill it up. And I have some people that put them in safety deposit boxes. Now, I look at it this way: if it's not in your house, you don't own it. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. And I don't trust safety deposit boxes because first of all, they're not insured. And yes, your gold and silver is not insured in your houses either. It's not insured.
Nope, sure isn't.
I rather have it not insured in my home where I can protect it versus in a bank where it can get robbed or burned down or the branch just sell out or something. Or they have third party companies come in and clean out your safety deposit boxes. So
or you lose it to civil asset forfeiture. Look what happened to that big vault company in California last year. They thought there was some possible criminal activity going on, and they seized all the contents of every safe, every vault in that company.
Not only that, if IRS, they want to come and look at what you got, they can just go right into the bank, easy. It's a little harder at your house, a little harder to come in your house. You know what I mean?
Got it.
Give you search warrants, but if you have an AR in their phase, they're gonna walk away, and you got time to move things. You know what I mean? So I feel more safe at my house. Yes, you have to be safe. You got to make sure your safe is equipped. You got to make sure has the longest fireproof and waterproof in it, because there's safes out there that aren't fireproof, waterproof. There's safes out there that's only got an hour of fireproof, waterproof. There's safes that have 2-3 hours, but you spend the money. You get a good safe, and you get some security cameras. Have some type of protection. Maybe a gun or two. And you should be good. My kids, I tell everyone, my kids are enough as a deterrent. You walk in, you see my kid, you'll run out. So I'll send my 7-year-old, man. He'll want to take him in the room and play Roblox.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely. It's all a part. That's another big thing about stacking. There's guys out there that have hundreds of thousands of gold, and that's. I like showing off my gold and silver, you know what I mean? But I will never, and I mean never, and I'm sorry for my viewers, will never do a full stack video.
No.
I don't believe it. I'm not going to do it because it's so easy for any of you guys. Not saying I don't trust you. There's good and bad people, but there could be that one subscriber on here, that one person watching this live that could hack into my phone, find my address, whatever, come down, find out when I'm not home, and rob me blind. It'd be hard, but they could. You know what I mean? And I would never, you know, show my full stack. I can't. I wouldn't do it. I'll show you the things I got. I'll show you cool things, my mail calls, but I'm not going to show you 4,000 ounces of silver and 40 ounces of gold. I'm not doing it. Yeah, I can't. I don't know why people do it. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. I like watching it, but you know.
Well, you know, sometimes for me, I feel like, you know, doing videos where you just kind of have silver laying out, right? And you just kind of have it as a backdrop like you do right now, right? You have some silver and stuff laying out. Like sometimes it feels like a flex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like I kind of want to show people variety, but you know, is okay, so laying out a couple 10th ounce gold pieces looks cool, but do I have to lay out, you know, yeah, I don't know.
Take a day to prep it and set it all up.
Right. So I don't ever want to come off like I'm flexing or like, hey, look at what I've done. You know, I am the Potter Stackers. I'm clay in his hand, and everything I do is for his glory. You know, what's that?
What do they say in the Bible? Confidence is a sin, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I want to educate people. I want to entertain people, but I don't want to ever come off like I'm boasting in what it is that I have, because, you know, as Scripture says, what do we have that we've not been given? You know, everything that we have is everything I have passed first through His hands, and so I don't ever want to seem like I'm boasting in myself, but I do want people to know how cool this stuff is. Like, I gotta tell you, dude, I would much rather have this than a stack of $20 bills. You know what I mean?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like it's
absolutely.
And I think if people start to understand the power of this stuff, it's great. But I'm kind of to the point where I don't really talk to people about it face to face anymore. You know, I don't try to convince people that, oh, you should be doing this, because people don't want to hear it. At some point, you're just the Jehovah's Witness at the door. You know?
Yeah. Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Well, you know, people have to figure stuff out on their own, you know? And I don't ever want to be the reason that somebody has regrets, that they get into this and they go hard, right? They have the FOMO, so they buy hard at the top of the market, and then it pisses off their wife, and their furnace goes out and they have to sell it all at the bottom of the market. You know what I mean? It's like, it happened to me. I did it of my own volition, of course. And, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a great responsibility in being balanced. I feel like, you know, to some degree, you should almost try to talk people out of stacking. Here's why you shouldn't stack, you know?
Yeah.
I just don't know enough about, on an individual basis, I think silver is good for everybody, but at the same time, there's people who aren't responsible enough.
Absolutely.
There's people who don't have the mentality. Like, okay, I bought into a crypto November 1st, the first time I've ever bought crypto, and I'm going to make a video about it.
Would you buy?
I'm not going to say it because I'm going to put it in a video, but I bought because of the advice of a very good friend who is he's in the financial world.
Mm-hmm.
And another buddy also bought at the same time. And this mutual friend of ours, he is opening his trust wallet every day. He's always looking at the charts. What did it do today? What did it do today? Like, dude, shut it off and forget it. Drive yourself freaking crazy.
Yeah.
And if you do that most of the time, if you do that with silver and gold, you stare at charts every day, you're going to get bored. like, oh, look, a 0.04% move today. Woo! You know?
Yeah, I used to do that when I started stacking. I was crazy. I was always looking at the spot prices, and you know, after a while, you just can't panic. When I started my retirement account and Roth IRA and my investment account, every time the stock markets would go some down, and I would call my finance and I would freak out.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen, don't look at it by day, week by week, year by year. Look at it by 10 years, 10, every decade. Look at it that way. And we have a meeting twice a year, and we go over everything. But he says, listen, yeah, you'll lose $100. Next time you gain, you win, you get 400. But he says long term, and that's what it is. That's what it's about. Cryptocurrency, it's fast term. That's gambling, quick money. 1, 2, 3. I'm in cryptocurrency. I put a video out because you know you have these guys nowadays. Here's crypto. Here's precious metals in there. What's better? Gold, silver, gold, crypto, gold or crypto, gold or crypto.
Right.
Listen, we both have something in common. We all believe in that the dollar's trash, and we're all putting our money into something that's going to protect it or make us money. Anything better than just cash, and that's what I said in the video. And yeah, I'm more into, I'm a stacker 100%. I love my gold and silver. I'll stack until the day I die. But I do play around with crypto, and I don't do all of them, but I do Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I've made a lot of money from it. And I take those earnings a lot of time. The profits I've made, I keep the money that I put in, but the profits I made on top of that, I take it out and I put it into gold and silver. I put it into real estate. I put it into my Roth IRA. I keep the money going. I keep it moving, so it continues to make me money. And you know, diversify your portfolio. Simple as that. You know, don't put your eggs in all one basket. You know, you got to be smart, and it all comes down to playing your cards right.
Right.
You know, let me say hi to a couple guys in the chat.
Sure.
Here we got Michael Snodgrass, Michael O'Brien, Boy and Baby, Skull Stacks, Stacking Perpetrator, Skull Stacks. What's that? A Britannia?
Yep. I'm just showing off while you're talking.
Those are awesome, man. And I have to say, for such a beautiful coin, they're one of the cheapest gold coins you can get out there. The 1/10 Britannias are about like $210, $215.
Great value. Same thing with the silver Britannias. Silver Britannias are one of the best of all the sovereigns. I don't know if there's one cheaper. Maybe Krugerrands.
Kangaroos.
Yeah,
I guess.
Maybe.
But,
they're probably all within 25 cents of each other.
Yeah, but when you think of it, those Britannias is the same price as a Buffalo ounce, a regular generic. So it pays to buy them. You know, you're getting a real government coin that's beautiful.
They just don't get much better in terms of just that design, the 2021 design of the Britannia. So,
oh yeah, they're beautiful. Beautiful coin.
There's one of my toners. I love toners.
I love toners. And I think you were mentioned before about the Morgan dollars and how you started getting into them. There's some beautiful. They're beautiful, and I love my Morgans, but people got to understand that they're more for collecting. I wouldn't recommend those for stacking unless you can get them for stackable prices, but they're more for collecting. And I see a lot of new stackers out there just buying them heavily.
Well,
and, they're expensive.
They are, but the thing is, for the last 2 years, they've been red hot. I mean, they have been red hot. I don't find them to be particularly attractive. I like peace dollars. I like the look of a peace dollar much nicer than Morgans. But I mean, there's just no denying Morgans. Their value has just gone through the roof. Now, are they going to stay that way? You know, that's the thing with numismatics is, and if you've studied the history of the Morgan dollar, you know the value has been destroyed on them a couple times because huge hoards have been found. Something that was once rare. That Carson City, that what is it, like a 1894 Carson City. That's a MS-63. Well, all of a sudden, someone finds 10 bank bags full of them. Yeah. And all of a sudden, that that coin that was $1,500 is now $42.
Yeah,
that hasn't happened in a very long time, actually.
Yeah.
But that's happened in the Morgan market before.
Do you think the new release of the 2020 100 anniversary piece in Morgan dollar kicked them off this year? You think that gave them more value?
No. In fact, I think that, first of all, the release of that was a complete joke. The U.S. Mint totally botched that. And for the life of me, I don't understand, if you're going to do that, the commemorative, why are you doing it in 3/9 fine? Do it at 90% again. Make it as authentic to the real things as possible.
Absolutely. I thought they were terrible.
I'm a vinyl collector, records.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So one thing with audiophiles like myself, I don't want your brand new, like, what's a really hot album? Really, like Prince, Purple Rain, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Classic, all-time great. I want the original. I want the original. I don't want your 180 gram, re-released vinyl that Barnes and Noble is selling now. I have
2021 remastered.
Yeah, not interested.
Original.
Not interested. Now, if they tried to replicate it with the original insert, the poster, that iconic poster that was inside of there, and the inner sleeve was the same, if they had made it, instead of a re-release, made it a replica, then it's interesting to me.
I agree with you. I talked to my LCS about it, and he had none of them in his shop, and he has everything. He's just I'm very fortunate to found him. But I was like, a lot of these LCSs and places, they're having these 2021 Morgans and Peace Towers. Why haven't you had any? As soon as something comes out, you have it right in shop. And he says they're terrible. I said, fill me in. Why do you think? Because I agreed, And he said, one, they're not 90%. He should have made them 90%. Yeah, it's more purity. It's better for a lot of people, but they should have made it 90% like original. It's not the exact size either. If you put an old one and a new one, they're not the exact size.
I think it's the same diameter as an American Silver Eagle, isn't it?
Yeah. And they didn't replicate the shine. It has a different color to it.
Yep.
And that could be because of more of the purity and stuff, but they should have replicated so much better than they did. And I think it's a disappointment. And the U.S. Mint's been failing lately. Since 2000, after 2016, they went downhill. The best thing they put out since then was the 2016 100 anniversary Walker, Standing Liberty, and Mercury Dime. That's the last best thing they did, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Besides their Eagles and stuff, but other than that, 2021, 2022, it's been shit.
Well, I'll tell you, the American Silver Eagle is iconic, and why you want to mess with that design?
Absolutely, yeah. And if you're going to do it the right way. This new design, the Type 2, let me pull one out here.
Ugly.
You know what I mean? Let me pull some out since we're talking about it.
The only reason I kind of want one is just to have a first year release.
Yeah, because it's a new release first year. Even though they made a lot of them, but still, you don't know.
I don't want to pay $33 for one though. 30.
Yeah. Oh, they're expensive. I put a video out of that. I stopped stacking them. Matter of fact, the other day, I'm very close to my grandmother. She's old. Her husband passed away, my grandfather, so she's got no one to help around the house. So I go and help her and take out the lunch, and and she's one of those person that always wants to give me money, food, anything. She's like, take it. And I always tell her no. She went down to the LCS and picked me up some Eagles.
Nice.
It surprised me, but
very cool.
But I stopped stacking this year the American Silver Eagles because of the premiums.
Yeah.
But you see, here's the beautiful design that's been the design since 1986 till 2021. And then they had this design, the Type 2. And they didn't, people didn't like them. They have a lot of complaints. Everyone I've talked to hates them. And then what they do this year, they kept the design.
It's new Coke.
Yeah,
it's the new Coke of bullion.
It's like you can just see the eagle. It's just now the Type 2 golds. I love them. The Type 2 gold design I like on the gold, but the Type 2 on the silver, it's a turnoff. I don't like it, and a lot of people don't.
Now, do you have any slabs? Do you collect slabs at all?
Now, I'm not a big slab guy. I don't. I like to feel my gold. I like to hold it, and obviously in capsules. I'm not going to pick up a gold buffalo. My gold buffaloes or my American Silver Eagles barehanded, but I don't. I like my slabs. When I buy Carson City, Morgan Carson Cities, they got to be slabbed. But I'm not a big slab guy.
This is the first fractional gold piece I ever bought.
What is it there? Eagle?
That is a 1/10 ounce American Eagle, MS70 from ICG,
2006.
which we all know. Yep, we all know that stands for I can't grade. But I bought this. I got this at an antique shop, and this has such an interesting story. But I got this for $190 when at the time they were selling for about $235. So the antique shop was just basically whoever was running the booth just was like, spot price is $1,900. So this is a 10th ounce and sell it for $190. Okay, I'll take it. So, and this is what got me really looking into fractional. Like, oh man, the more I looked at it, the more I really liked it, the more I thought it was cool. But I questioned its authenticity because when I started to look on eBay, like for ICG MS70s, like they all had serial numbers on the back, and this one does not have a serial number.
Mm-hmm.
So I called ICG and actually asked them about it. And back in the day, like QVC used to be given all of these slabbed coins, and they would sell them for insane premiums. And like, oh, this is a limited release, only 500 of these just for our customers for QVC. So yeah, this is like a QVC coin, and I got it for basically spot at the time. So, but that's what really got me thinking about. I never really looked at fractional gold before I got this, and ever since then, now I've got a ton of fractional gold, and almost except for Britannia's, I have all American Gold Eagles. My philosophy with gold is totally different than with silver.
Yeah.
Do you kind of feel? Well, here, let me tell you what my philosophy is, and tell me if you agree with me.
Okay.
Silver, I want the cheapest premium. Now, I don't always buy low premium stuff, so like this is at Canadian $0.50, 0.3 of an ounce. Basically, you buy these for melt plus about 2%. I mean, it's crazy. At $14.50 per dollar face value, but it's $1.70 to make an ounce versus $1.40 of American. So with silver, I want cheap. I want bars and stuff like that. But with gold, I want something that is instantly recognizable, because I don't want to walk in needing $2,000 and have, okay, so let me show you a piece of gold that I love that is probably like my one regret, is I have like this 1 ounce Scottsdale poured bar.
Oh, those are nice.
They are super cool. They're 4/9 fine. They're serialized and everything. But what's going to sell faster? What do you think my LCS wants?
The Eagle.
100%.
Absolutely. That is the most sold. For you people that don't know, I'm sure you guys know because you're all stackers in the chat. But that is the most sold gold and silver bullion across the world. And that is the American Gold and Silver Eagle. Second place would be Buffalo's.
Right. So I want my gold to be liquid, because I figure when I need to sell gold, something bad is happening. and I
Absolutely.
need that money like yesterday, and I'm probably not super concerned with recovering premium. So like here's a fractional gold bar that I have that I also I don't want to say I regret it, but I would trade it in a second.
Absolutely.
You
I
know,
don't stack gold bars. I stay away from gold
I don't
bars.
either. And
Yeah.
this was one of the first fractional gold pieces that I bought. I think I got this after I got that slabbed eagle, and it was just a good deal. He charged me 4% over spot for it at the LCS. So for fractional gold, that's fantastic. And
Yeah.
so I was like, well, that's a good deal. But there are so many fake gold bars floating around.
Oh, they're the most faked. They're the most faked.
They're in assays and
because they're easy.
Everything looks right. Everything looks right, but it's significantly easier to counterfeit than silver is because tungsten and gold are so close in specific gravity and density and in the way that they feel in your hand. China's flooding the market like these. I have a 78 Krugerrand, and this was my first full ounce. And I like the Krugerrand because
coin right there.
Well, the Krugerrand has such great history. It was really the first gold bullion.
Yeah, oldest. Yeah,
and it's been around forever. Super recognizable. But I think like a year and a half ago or so, I think it was in Rochester, New York, actually, that there was like I can't remember if it was, for some reason I'm thinking 170 or 1700 fakes that were seized in a raid. And they were all 78s. So you better believe I had my 78 tested. But I bought this from an LCS too, so I didn't buy that off of Craigslist or something.
Our LCSs are usually good. If you build a relationship with them and you've been dealing with them, first of all, you can always look up online to see if they're certified. They'll tell you right there, and they don't want to ruin their name. They pretty much everything that comes out of their LCSs, out of online bullion retailers, 90% of the time it's not fake. Yeah, they might get one or two here and there sometimes, but they're usually good. You just have to watch out for unreputable companies, or if someone's on Facebook Market trying to sell a 78 Krugerrand, then I would be I would double check. But I agree with you. With gold, I buy gold coins. When I started stacking, I was buying gold bars. I sold them all, and I bought gold coins. I sold them all, every single one of them, because most LCSs at mine, he does not sell gold bars, none. The only gold bars he'll sell is if he gets a Johnson Matthey or an Engelhart, something that'll sell right.
A collectible, right?
Absolutely, but he will not buy it, and he does not sell it. He sells Eagles, Maples, Krugerrands, Buffaloes, pre-33, or your foreign European gold coins, and Mexican gold. He does not sell bars, and they're harder to sell. Yes, they're cheaper, but they are harder to sell. It's not as reputable as your Eagles and your Buffaloes. And yeah, of course, they're going to have a higher premium on those coins, but you can sell them for more. I can sell my Buffalo coins for $19.50 right now. If I had a 1 ounce Perth mint bar, I could sell that lucky for spot.
You might go back a spot. Actually,
might go back a spot. Absolutely, because Perths are heavily faked. There was a big scandal with them. Plus the slave labor they were using to make the bars, I heard, out in Africa. Did you read that article?
Well, I didn't see that one, but I watched a full documentary on Credit Suisse and what is the big bank in Switzerland that sells so much? Am I thinking Credit Suisse?
I think Credit Suisse.
I know it's SUISSE.
But it has the Statue of Liberty on their bars, right?
I think so, but
Credit Suisse, I think it's called, but it's by Swiss Gold.
So anyhow, these Swiss banks, these Swiss gold companies, most of the gold that they get comes from like Peru in Colombia, and it's basically cartel gold.
Oh, yeah.
And they basically have slaves out in these gold mines that are digging gold out of the ground for next to nothing.
Oh, I've seen that
And
video.
it's all being sold to, Switzerland. And they don't have gold in their country naturally. Like, there's no gold mines in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And so it makes me think about where I want to source my gold from. Like, dude, I hate it that there's like no such thing as an American made cell phone.
Yeah.
If I want a cell phone, I have to use a phone that was made with slave labor that has nets around the building because people hate it so much they would rather jump off the building and die than work another day there.
Absolutely.
Well, we can't. What do we do about the suicide situation? Let's see. Should we improve working conditions and pay more? No, let's put nets around that when they jump off, the nets will catch them, and we can yank their suicidal rear ends back to work. Like, I hate that I have no other option than that.
Yeah.
It's a real moral dilemma for me.
That's a big reason why I don't buy pandas. I don't buy any Chinese silver and gold, because I tell everyone, I said, it is slave labored made. It is slave labored to find the stuff, and the money's going in the communist pockets. And I will not buy their pandas or yin yang, whatever the hell they make. And it's not because of the people. I don't, the people, there's good and bad in everybody. It's because of the government and the slave labor.
Yeah.
We have a couple of people in here, read, see what they
shout them out.
They're
I'll
saying.
show some toners off while you're shouting people out.
We got Spookan Silver Stacker. What's up, man? Silver Eagles way too much. We'll probably just get one 2022, but we'll wait on it when I could get a decent price. I agree, man. Absolutely. We got Goro Echo. A lot of people on here won't get the new Coke reference.
Yeah. It's if you were born in the 80s or in the 70s, you know what New Coke was.
Yeah. We got Mauricio Ray too, but I am warming up to the interact detail of the Type 2 Eagle. I don't know. I don't really care for the Silver Eagles, man. The Gold Eagles, yeah, I love them. But listen, we all have our own opinion. We all like our own things in our stack. And listen, as long as we're stacking gold and silver, that's all that matters, right?
Yep. Hey, do you watch Silver Stacks Prepper?
Silver Stacks Prepper.
Oh, he's got a great channel. I
gotta look at him. I gotta check him out. Email me his name too.
he's the one guy who loves the queen on his gold. He's like, that chick. Whenever he turns over his coin, he's like, there she is, that chick. So shout out to Silver Stacks Prepper.
Yeah, I gotta check him out. Silver Coins Calf. I will put some stuff in a 2x2, but I like to handle my silver as well. Not a fan of government packaging or slabs. Capsules and tubes are fine too. Mauricio Ray, I'll do bars and 90%. I won't buy anything with the Monarch on it.
Why is that? I saw that comment and I'm wondering what is with the Monarch thing. I hope he follows up on that. I've never heard that before.
I'm not the biggest fan of the Queen being on the coins, you know what I mean? Especially because it's all over every damn coin you buy.
Oh, the Monarch.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But at the same time, I really don't give a fuck, because I'm buying silver and I think the maples are just beautiful, despite the front of the coin. Some people might think the Lady Liberty on the coin is boring, but we buy the coin for the backs, and
here's the young queen.
That's when she was young and good looking, right?
Yeah. But look at that coat of arms, dude. Look at
oh, it's beautiful.
I wish the Royal Canadian Mint would do commemoratives of all of their silver, like pre-67 designs.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the Newfoundland the 100-year Newfoundland dollar it's the only one I don't have. It's hard to find and it's awesome. It's got this really great ship on it. The 1958 British Columbia Death Dollar, other than American Prospector, which is my my little logo. That is my favorite coin, and it's got such a great story, dude. So British Columbia, when they did their commemorative, they put it, that's the totem pole on it. You know, it's called it was the natives who called it the death dollar because they interpreted that thing to be a totem of a raven, which is a symbol of death. And so they could not get Native Americans to use and spend that dollar. So when you find them, they're usually in really good condition because British Columbia at that time had a much larger native population.
Wow.
So, but the Voyager, what a great design.
Oh, yeah.
They just have, and like this coat of arms on this toner, it might show up really nice.
Oh, but, wow, I mean, look at that.
That coat of arms is just fantastic.
That's beautiful. I love the coat of arms of countries and stuff. I think they're very, like my family, we're, my dad's side's Italian. He's full Italian. My mother's full Norwegian. And I always get a kick out of, I like to buy Norwegian silver coins too because, you know, my grandmother and stuff, and she gets a kick out of seeing them. And the coats of arms, you know, it's a lion on their coins. They have lions, and each 4 spaces have its, you know, one's a warrior, one's, you know, they have so much meaning to them, and they're so beautiful, and they're just different. You know what I mean? I love them. Oh, if our coins can talk, it's just amazing. You know, the stories of coins and how they, you know, came about and the designs on them, and just think about it. You know, a lot of your let's say your barber dimes, your barbers, your Morgans, every person that's held them, had them in their pocket, are no longer here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's if they could just talk and see, you know, where that dollar was that in the Wild West? Was that getting slapped on a bar table for a shot? You know what I mean? It's just amazing. You know, if they can just talk, it's crazy. A couple more people here. We Skull Stacks. I just traded my Frax bars in for a half-ounce eagle.
Good move.
Gold eagle. Silver coins cap. I wouldn't mind some silver fractional if the premiums wasn't so ridiculous.
Go get Mercury Dimes. Mercury Dimes. If you want, that's the one junk silver that I still am okay paying $22 times face for.
It's not too much, you know. I figured it out. I noticed with constitutional silver, I'm big into constitutional. I love my 90% silver. I stack a lot of it. But I figured it out. What you're paying now for an ounce, the cheapest you can get it for right now, if you're lucky, is about 18 times. That's very rare, but sometimes you can find it. Mostly places now is anywhere from 20 to 23 phase. So what 90% is going for an ounce, $1.40, you multiply it by whatever phase. If you multiply it by 20, 22 phase, it's going for about in between your generic silver and your government bullion coin. So it's anywhere from $28 to $30 to $31 an ounce. So when you think of it, that's very expensive. You know what I mean? When you can buy a 3/9 fine generic ounce for $27.
Yep.
But at the same time, people also got to realize 90% they don't make anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? They stop making that. They're going to pump out Buffaloes, millions of them. You know, they're going to pump out their your rounds, you know, and your American Silver Eagles. But that's what I think a lot of people buy a lot of 90% because they just don't make it anymore. And I'm one of them. I love my 90%, and it's still. Yes, it's more expensive. It's expensive now, but it's still cheaper than most of your government bullion coins. Still cheaper than your Eagles. Still cheaper than, you know, your it's about the same. It's about $29 to $30 an ounce now for generic, for 90% silver, unless you can get it lucky. I've recently bought some for about 19 phase, and about a month ago I bought it lucky for 18 phase, but that's very, very hard to come by. But the Mercuries, absolutely. Mercuries and the Roosevelts, you're only spending about anywhere from $18 to $24 over spot.
Yeah.
So it's still, some people it might be expensive, but it's your best bet when it comes to 90% silver right now, because you get into your half dollars, you're spending about $40 over spot.
I other than Mercury Dimes, the last junk silver I bought, I got a tube of 64 Kennedys that were proofs.
Oh wow!
And I paid 20 times face for them, and I was like,
that's not bad though.
With hindsight being what it is, yeah, I mean that was a great deal. But at the time, I was really reluctant. I'm really glad I have them. Benjis, I love Benjis. My favorite junk silver by far. The bell on the back is so cool.
Awesome, yeah.
His
I like
big
where they put
bald
the mint mark
stupid
sometimes.
head.
Yeah.
I love that coin, and I only have like 2 of them, and I would love a whole tube. And someday I'm just gonna suck it up and pay, because you can pay 25 times face for Benjis if they're in like BU condition. But at the same time, the way I look at it is like, am I really gonna lose money on these? I doubt it. I mean, you can lose money on anything you have, but I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I know I always say I want cheap silver, buy low premium silver, but sometimes there's just stuff I like, and if I want it, I'm going to have to pay for it.
Absolutely. And listen, every stacker, I don't care what they say. Oh, I just stack. That's all I do is stack. I'm a 90% stacker, and that's the majority. But we all treat ourselves. We all buy high premium stuff. We all look at right here. I'm a big fan in Engleharts. I love Engleharts.
Me too.
$300. That was a good deal for a pressed Engelhart bar. You can't really find these cheaper, but still, that's expensive. But then when you look at it, you go on your Atmex, JM Bullion, you buy a Silvertown, generic 10-ounce bar. After all its fees, you're going to spend $300 too. But I can always resell this. I could sell this right now for $330, and people will buy it. You know what I mean? But we all treat ourselves. Look, I love Libertads. A lot of people love Libertads. Those are $50 a coin, $60 a coin.
Yep. Hey, if you ever get an 06 Libertad, that's one you want.
Yeah, I don't have one of those.
Is, I got one from my LCS about a year ago for $32, and I bought a few of them. He had a few of them. I bought them all. And this 2006, very low mintage, as they all are, but very low mintage. I sold it on eBay for $170.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah. So I'm always on the lookout for 06s. See, now I'm giving all my secrets away, and y'all are going to get them before I do.
I'm going to go buy them all up now.
You're going to get them before I do. But
yeah, I'm a fool for Libertads, man. But I got to get them I try to get them for a good price.
I buy fractional. I just bought some fractional, like 10th ounce and quarter ounce proofs, just because it's like, well, it's only $14. But you're gonna get the 10th ounce of silver.
Yeah, but you don't think of it that way. When you think of it, you're like, okay, it's only $14. But then when you start thinking about the amount of silver on it and how much the premium is, you're like,
yep,
that's more for collecting. That's more of a just to have it type deal.
Right.
Like, people are into these gold backs now, and that's another thing they're pushing that I disagree with. But this right here is a souvenir. That's what I look at it as. This is worthless to me, but it's a souvenir. It's cool to have. But would I stack this? Hell no. You would need it would cost you $6,000 to buy an ounce of gold buying these things. Would I spend this? No. You know what I mean? But it's just fun to have.
Yeah, I got mine in a giveaway from High Drag Dad's YouTube channel. I think his 300th subscriber, and he was doing a 300 subscriber giveaway, so he sent me one. And I'm glad I have it.
Yeah,
I would never spend the money on it, but
no.
I think it's one of the. I mean, it's very cool technology, but it's highly impractical, and it's never going to be currency.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And my buddy there, Savage Stacker, he went around, I think, in Nevada, trying to see what stores took it, because Nevada, Utah, and New Hampshire are using these, and Wyoming's the next state. Out of 50 stores, I guess he went to, one of them took them. So it just shows, the only reason why these would work is if stores like Walmart and your Target would take them. and say, hey, here's another form of currency we take. Then, once you get into bigger stores, maybe, but it's a cool concept. But listen, we were using gold and silver coins in this country up into the 70s. You know what I mean? If the government wanted it back, they would bring it back, not some private company making these and selling them to states.
Yeah.
It's not going to work, but it's fun. It's cool to have. It's awesome. It's good for gifts, good for gauze.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't. I just don't. I don't know what the whole big deal is with those.
There's a pretty cool hack. I don't know if you can still do it, but it used to be there was the company that sold them would also exchange them. So let's say you have a $50 gold back. Well, you can send it to them. You have to pay the postage, and then they will send you back $51 or $10, $5, $5, $10, however, whatever denominations you want. But as you know, the lower the face value, the higher the premium. So people were doing this, or I shouldn't say people. I saw a video about it, and I'm like, wow, that is actually
it is smart. That was Silver Dragons, right?
Might have been, yeah. Actually, it was Silver Dragons. He's one of the big channels I can still tolerate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I actually have an interview planned with him.
Do you really?
Everybody, I am telling everybody that now.
It's announced. It's official.
You guys didn't hear that.
Yeah,
that's supposed to be a surprise.
Well,
not so much now.
He's good. I like Silver Dragons.
He's fun, absolutely. I watch him, and it's fun to see where he came from and how much he's accomplished in just a short period of time.
Yeah,
from his stack, from his channel. And the kids, he's my age. I think he's a little older than me. He might be in his 30s, but early 30s. But yeah, he's a cool guy. And everybody in the community are great. I can watch a lot of people. There's only some that I can't. But there's a lot of people out there that have awesome, and everyone's different. You got channels that do porn. You got channels that talk about the current news, like Sal.
Right.
You got channels like people that just show their mail call and what they got, or channels that do gauze and challenges. So it differs, and it's fun. Everyone has their cool thing about them, their little trademark.
Yeah, and they all serve a different function within the community.
Absolutely.
I love watching unboxing videos.
Those are fun. Absolutely.
It's one of the ways that I learned about Canadian silver. It's like, those look great. And I'm in Wisconsin. I know someone around here is going to have them. I'm only, 6 hours from the border. Well, that's not
same
true.
Here.
I'm more like 12 hours from the border. So I know there's going to be Canadian, I find Canadian change in my, around here if you go buy a soda from a vending machine, sometimes to get a Canadian quarterback, So, but yeah, I mean, it's watching that kind of stuff that I've learned about, some certain kinds of lower premium silver, or, like I never even knew poured silver existed, like hand poured. I didn't even know what that was. I thought everything was this stamped, like the Silver Town, So, yeah. So, pouring is something I'd love to get into, dude. Do you pour?
Absolutely. And
matter
of fact, I will send you one of my pours.
For real?
Yeah, I'll send you one. Absolutely. I just got my stamp in. I broke my last one for wearing it out.
You should know I only take 10 ounces. So.
Yeah. Okay. Don't get picky now. I was going to send you a 2-ounce pour.
Sweet. Dude, I will do an unboxing on that big time.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
This
one Savage did for me. Savage Stacker, he did his last pour, and me and him became really good friends in the community, and he sent me this. And I
Now,
do molds. I don't do
okay.
sand pours. I do molds. But this is what he made, and this is awesome. And matter of fact, Big Red Bullion's in the chat right now, and he makes awesome pours. I don't know if you, and he's from Canada, if you can't tell, Big Red
No.
Bullion. But he makes awesome pours. That's pretty much what his channel is. He does sand casting. If you don't know about him, go check out his channel, and he can make you things too. He's actually working on a channel round for my channel.
So with my tax return this year, I'm buying a furnace, and one of the things I want to do is to try to purify silver. And so I'm going to try it with both nitric acid and with a Cupel. I'm not sure which, like the nitric acid thing. Have you ever done that? Have you ever, No. Okay.
So what I do, I have all my equipment pretty much that I buy. I put in my links in my videos. I'll send you this good furnace that's easy to work with, and it's cheap. Silver Dragons uses it.
Yeah.
If you ever watched him, it's that red
one
with the black top.
Yep.
That's what I use, and it works awesome. And I only spent $200. It comes with the crucible, comes with some tongs. I had to go and buy better tongs, but it works. And you can buy molds and stuff, and you can. I got a guy that sells me silver shot for good price. I can get 10 ounces for like $240. It's pretty easy. The hardest part of it is the pouring part.
Yeah.
The pouring it without missing, and having to pour it quick enough so it doesn't harden right up. If it hardens, you just throw it back in the furnace, no big deal. But it's definitely definitely takes a while to get used to it. And the first couple times you pour, you're going to pour that bar 20 times before you get it right.
Yeah, I was thinking of practicing with like aluminum.
Yeah, or I
just trying to
silver.
That's what most people seem to do, because you probably know who Backyard Bullion is, right?
Oh yeah,
British
Backyard Bullion, absolutely.
I had a conversation with him, like, did you start doing copper or aluminum or lead ingots or anything like that? He's like, nope, jumped right into silver. Oh, okay. So, but I'm just, I would just hate to waste any silver. And I know you mess it up, you re-pour it. You just melt it and pour it over again. So, but I have about $100 face value in Canadian silver quarters that I think would be the perfect candidates, because Canadian silver quarters are super abundant. They're dirt cheap. Usually you can get those under spot. And the other thing is, two of my LCSs have a ton of silver sterling that they will sell me at melt.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I'm thinking about, like, gosh, well, you could just do sterling silver pours. Maybe people would be interested in that.
Absolutely, 925. It's practically 999. Pretty close to it. It's better than 90%.
Yeah, and so, but I was like, well, pure silver. People really want the 3 9s fine. So I can't tell you how many hours I've spent on YouTube watching people with, like, what's his name? Sreetips, Sreetips. He does purification with nitric acid and stuff. And his videos are great. Super smart dude. And, he does a lot of like scrap gold recovery and stuff. And I'm like, gosh, but he's wearing like a lab jacket, and he looks like a mad scientist. I'm like, I'm probably not smart enough for this. This is probably how I'll die, is inhaling this green fog coming out of this liquid that I'm pouring out silver. And
see, I melt it. I pour it in a mold, and I take it out. I clench it and I stamp it. I don't even polish. I don't polish mine.
You don't tumble it?
Nope, I don't tumble. Really? A lot of guys do. A lot of guys use sandpaper, very fine sandpaper and vinegar and stuff. And I don't polish. It comes right out. It looks good. I like the ripples. I like the look. And sometimes it comes out nice. Sometimes it comes out, a little rough with hard, very, sandpaper feel. But I haven't polished mine, and
have you ever hammered it? Have you ever tried doing the hammered?
I've hammered.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty.
I like
that's cool. We have a couple more people here writing down. There's a lot of people that I haven't Red, but Mel S says, if I go on my local auctions online, I can get Constitutional at 16 phase, including the buyer's premium.
For U.S. Constitutional? That's a crazy deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me where that auction is.
Yeah.
Big Red Bullion. Here is where stackers don't realize. I've been stacking 925 scrap jewelry and buying it in bulk from jewelers from melt price, which is same as 90% coins. If you're not better, but yet cheaper by far. Mel S. That doesn't apply to barbers though.
Yeah, no doubt.
Silver coins calf. Hi Mel. Do you mean like, oh, he's responding to him? Third album set, Franklin's. What do you do with the scrap jewelry, Big Red? I just want to make sure I'm answering people's questions here. I don't want to.
Can't forget that chat.
No, absolutely, man. It's hard for me, to try to, do two things at once.
Right.
Silver coins, yeah. Gorio Echo, gold backs are a great gift. My friend loves to get them. Oh, and they're cheap for me to give. Compare. Yeah, it's true, man. Spectacular silver coin calf said Spectacular just talked about this stuff, collectors and stackers, premiums flipping, etc. Yeah, I seen that video. I can get Canadian silver for close to spot price from my bullion dealer, Big Red said.
Yep.
A lot of people,
that's the best thing about it.
And you think a lot of LCSs would push this stuff because Canadian silver is not far off from U.S. Constitutional. Yeah, it's 80% versus 90%, but that's still a good percentage. And it's less than half the price. I think a tube of Canadian quarters, what's it, like $80? Was it, or no, $150? It was real cheap. I was looking online or something. It was like I think a tube of Canadian quarters was like $130, $140. So it's definitely cheap.
So I made a video on my channel. This does not, because I'm in my YouTube studio, but it's called "Stop Stacking U.S. Constitutional Junk Silver. It's a Bad Investment." And the thumbnail, it says junk silver. It says it doesn't add up. This is a good video because basically I put down, I show the difference between U.S. Constitutional silver versus Canadian and what you get for the exact same amount of money. You get about, I think I calculated about 20% more silver content, not total weight, but silver weight for the same price buying Canadian as you do US. So, and I can just do the math here real quick for you. So I pay $14.50 times face at my LCS. So $14.50, and there's 1.7 it's like 1.71 ounces. So times 1.7, that means I'm paying $24.65 for silver per ounce on Canadian Constitutional. Now you take that same 22 times face times 1.4, that's $30.80. It's a 20% difference.
Yeah.
So for the same money, you get 20% more silver.
Yeah.
Now
it's a dead given to buy Canadian junk for sure.
It's almost like the same. It's almost like the same argument between Eagles and generics, right? Are you going to get some of that premium back? Maybe, but not all of it. Like you're probably going to get spot, maybe even at 50 cents back a spot for the Canadian stuff. So $1 is 0.6 of an ounce. So $10 is 6 ounces $10 face value is 6 ounces of silver. You're probably going to get spot or a little bit back a spot, but you're not going to get $7 over spot for your junk silver, for your Canadian or your American junk silver. Maybe they're buying it for, I think last time I called, they were paying 17 or 17.50 times face for junk silver. So you're still getting significantly less than what you paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And Big Red Pulling and Wreck told you, he said, aluminum is not a good to start. Best thing to practice with is copper. And he knows that, man. He's really he dedicates his channel to do it. He turned it into a business, and he makes them. He just posted a video of new releases of things he poured. He made a bear. He made a black bear, a little cub.
Yep.
He makes great stuff. Awesome. I definitely check him out, and you can get some good pointers with him.
I'm looking up Big Red Bullion right now. I'm going to go subscribe while I'm thinking about it, because I'm glad he said that. I wondered, because it's soft. Aluminum is a very soft metal compared to copper and stuff, but and silver, of course. So I've thought of lead, but that's always kind of been my concern is, am I, is it even going to be like silver? Am I, comparing apples to oranges here? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, what I recommend people, like when I started off with, I took one coal, a beat up old 3/9 fine generic milky spot coin. I threw it in my furnace, melted it, and I poured it in. And I have a brick that I pour it on. I put my mold on this heated brick, and if it falls on it, when it hardens up right away, take some water, you pour it on it, you pick it up, you throw it back in the furnace. So I started off with silver, but I started off with something like, God forbid, if I did lose, I wasn't going to be so butthurt. You know what I mean? That's not like I spent so much money and start off making a 10-ounce bar. You can also start off making like these half-ounce, quarter-ounce bars just to get yourself going. He also said question from Goro. You ever hear anyone buying silver shop for prepping as a barter item as less than fractional?
No. Well, first of all, how are you going to verify it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I can get stainless steel shot, and like the stainless steel shot that you put in a tumbler.
Yeah. Jewelry grade.
Right, and compare that to silver shot for someone who doesn't really know what they're looking at. Maybe you almost treat it like heroin. You cut your silver with some stainless steel, rip people off. I don't know, but I
would stick with dimes, man.
Yep.
Dimes, or maybe your little breakable Vacambi bars. That seems to be popular.
Yep.
Big Red Cat. I bought placers off prospectors and found my own, but never dealt with the shot. Just going over. See you later, Big Red.
I'm going through chat and just subscribing to people right now. So
Spokane Silver, he's another great guy, man. He's a Christian.
Yep. I subscribe to him.
Shown on another channel, which made me come sub to yours. Good night, Big Red. I've been watching your live pours. I'm usually quiet in chat. All right, I think we're up to date on. Thanks again, Patriotic. Great stream. MLS. See you later, man. But I think people should definitely get into Canadian silver. I think it's great, and it's very underrated.
I think it is, and eventually, I just for one thing, I'm not sure I buy the narrative that there's a shortage of U.S. junk silver. I've never been to an LCS that didn't have a lot of it. But so let's say that's true, though. Let's say there is a shortage of of U.S. constitutional junk silver. Well, what are you going to turn to if that's the kind of thing that you stack? Well, you're going to go to probably your neighboring countries, either Mexico or Canada. And I think that those would suddenly become a very hot, I think the Canadian junk silver could become very popular. So I'm glad to have it. I have a lot of it. That's probably been my primary stacking, the primary stuff I've been stacking for the last 8 months, probably, since I found it. And when I went to my LCS and asked him for it, I'm like, you have a Canadian junk silver? He's like, how much you want? And he pulled out a couple of bank bags.
And they usually put it all in their melt bucket to send it off to the refinery, too. So sometimes you can get it for under spot. A lot, or not under spot, but spot.
Right.
Exactly, spot, whatever the refinery is going to pay them for it. So it's great, a great way to get silver. And there's a lot of guys in the community that love this stuff. And I have Canadian dollars. I haven't bought the dimes and quarters, but after you telling me about it and stuff, I think I'm gonna start stacking this stuff because it's a no-brainer.
I bet being in New York, there's a ton of it. In your LCSs.
Yeah. He's got, and what I love, and when you were talking about 90%, you don't think there's a shortage. I don't think there's a shortage either. I think people are holding on to it.
Yes.
I think a lot of people have it, like me. I have a lot of constitutional, and there's a lot of people out there like me that love constitutional and hoard it. Especially, your grandparents that knew their value, what it was going to be, and they held on to it. It's something I think a lot of people hold on to it. Do I think you should go by the numbers on the red book, and that's what you should go by now? No, because there's thousands of them that were lost. There's millions of them that were melted in the 1980 when the Hunts brothers bought up all the silver. They were melting it, and refineries were going crazy.
Hunt brothers. That brings up an interesting question I have for you. Why do you think that the Hunt brothers are regarded as such heroes among silver stackers? Because here's another narrative I hate is the manipulation narrative. Like, silver is being suppressed, it's being manipulated, it's undervalued, blah blah blah, etc. Okay, maybe that's true. Maybe there is manipulation to the downside based on short positions held by big banks like JP Morgan or whatever. Okay, but there's also upside manipulation, and that's what the Hunt brothers did. The Hunt brothers manipulated silver to the upside, and I can't help but ask the question, how many people FOMO'd back in 1980 into silver at $30, $35, $40, thinking it's going to the moon, and all of a sudden it tanks down to $4 dang near overnight. And all these people are left holding $30, $40 silver. Why are the Hunt brothers regarded as heroes when they were as big or worse manipulators?
Makes no sense, right?
They were worse manipulators than JP Morgan.
Yeah, they lost a lot of people money. And matter of fact, the Hunt brothers went bankrupt after it.
Yeah, imagine that.
They lost everything because they were going nuts. They were buying it up. They were going, and that's the big problem, like we were talking about earlier. People buying the highs. They get worked up. They get scared. Like right now, silver and gold's not. It's no one's really talking about it now. But if it hits $1,900 tomorrow, and silver goes up to $29 tomorrow, people are going to be buying it up like crazy, and then it'll drop. And they're sitting there, with like you said, $25 silver and $1,790 in gold. And that's like this whole thing with the Bitcoin recently. People were buying it when it was $69,000.
Oh,
now it dropped down to 37. Now it dropped down to $37,000. How much money did you just lose? You lost 30 grand. You lost 50% of what you paid for. And that's what, and like you said, people just been been buying it, buying the highs.
It could.
It's not
And for some
smart.
people it could be worse, and the part of the discussion on like the great resignation and all of these people who are refusing to go to work, a great number of people aren't working because they're making, at least up till recently they had been making money on junk tokens, Shiba Inu, for example.
Yeah.
Or meme stocks. And look, everybody looks like a genius when the market's going through the roof, right? But boy, there's a lot of people that are experiencing pain right now because they got into something you don't understand. I think you probably do. Most people don't understand. Like, you think crypto is an everyman play, and believe me, there are far more whales in there than there are guppies.
Yep.
And the guppies right now are just getting devoured.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And a lot of these people who were able to live off of, pull some off the table while their Shiba's going to the moon, and their Bitcoin or whatever meme stock. I haven't looked at the GameStop or AMC stocks in a while. It surprised me how long they held for, actually. But there's people who are really going to get hurt, because it's like, oh, diamond hands, we're going to hold. Well, you're missing the point of this whole thing. Okay, so the game is rigged. We all recognize there's rigging in the system. But if you know how the system is rigged, you can win.
Yeah.
And knowing the system is rigged isn't enough. So to go into a rigged system, hey, we're going to drive out all these shorts, and people were really boasting about, what was that hedge fund that went broke because of GameStop and had to take out a $7 billion loan?
I forgot the name.
You know what I'm talking. So
yeah,
you're familiar.
All
with
the
it,
Reddit
right?
guys got on there.
Yep.
Was driving up. Yeah, I forgot the name.
Well,
wish I knew the name.
What people don't understand is, when you've made money, making money becomes easier, right?
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
If you've made $1 million, they say the first million's the hardest, right?
The hardest, yeah.
But when you've made $1 million, you now know the path to $1 million. But I mean, think of all the stories of lottery winners who end up broke.
They commit suicide.
Something like 80% of lottery winners end up bankrupt inside of 5 years.
Yeah. Absolutely. Matter of fact, that one of them just happened. It was our neighbor a couple houses down.
Really?
Won like $12 million, and
you're kidding.
3 years later, broke, nothing, and committed suicide.
Oh my goodness! What a nightmare!
Because they don't understand.
So
you have to pay tax on that. Now you're paying $12 million. You're paying on that $12 million. And now your rates go up. You have to pay yearly. You gotta be smart. And like they say, people that never had money or grew up with money, a lot of the times they do bad. They do poorly.
It's our programming. Our education system has utterly failed us.
Absolutely. Teacher unions.
We have people are so distracted with internet pornography and social media and Netflix and crap like that they can't even be bothered to watch a 20-minute YouTube video on how the monetary system works, and how that 20-minute video can absolutely change your life.
Absolutely.
And it can teach you, okay, well, dude, if you or I won $12 million, we would be set for life, and our grandchildren might be too, because we know how to handle money. We know the power of compound interest.
Going, and I would live off that interest. I wouldn't even touch the money. I'd keep that money going in the Roth accounts, in traditional accounts, in gold and silver and crypto.
You got it.
Man, I wouldn't have to worry about a damn thing. I'd still, and you know what? I'd still work 7 days a week.
And I tell people, like, money is not the issue. or the lack of money is not the issue. Education is the issue. People don't understand how money works. They don't understand how fractional reserve banking works and how negatively that impacts their lives. And it's one of the reasons you and I stack silver and gold. And if they just took the time to educate themselves, but they've been conditioned, like so many, to just consume and distract, drink, watch porn, go to work, wash, rinse, repeat. And, the world is suffering for it. Their families are suffering for it. And then that person wins $12 million. That's not a person. $12 million is dangerous to that person. It's not a blessing. It's a curse.
Death sentence. The death sentence.
Yes, it is.
Every little bit of it. If anyone that's in this chat that, wins $12 million and you don't know what to do with it, go to your financial advisor. Go hire someone.
Yeah.
Because that will put you in the grave if you don't know what you're doing. And I would be nervous. I would be scared. And all of us would be. Because we never seen that chunk of money, and now you have to worry about how to pay our taxes right, and we have so many things that come with that we have to worry about. Now we're a target because in the state of New York, I don't know about Wisconsin, I don't know about Florida, where any of you guys live, but in the state of New York, if you win the lottery, Mega Millions, you go right in the newspaper.
Yep.
You can't in Pennsylvania, across the border here, you can have your lawyer say on the newspaper. You don't have to show your face, but in New York, you have to show your face. And you have to say, this is what I won. They have a whole news article. And that's scary. You got to, people, that's another thing you have to worry about too. People, especially if they're going to broadcast it, that so-and-so lives in Middletown, New York, won $12 million.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah. But,
all the people are coming out of the woodwork.
Absolutely. All want to be your friend now.
Yep. I'll give you money if I never have to see you again.
Would $10 help?
Yeah.
Now, somebody asked me a question earlier. I think it was Silver Coins Calf. What is your favorite constitutional design? Halves would be, let's start with dollars. Dollars would be Morgan's. Halves would be Walker's. Quarters, Standing Liberty. And dimes would be my Mercs, but my ultimate favorite are Walkers and Mercs. I love them all, but I love them all, man. They all have a different thing about them. I like my George Washington quarters. The only thing I can't stand are the Roosevelt dimes, and that's just because Roosevelt, as a president, sucked.
Well, he was no Woodrow Wilson.
No, he wasn't no Woodrow Wilson. He wasn't a Jimmy Carter, but he sucked.
Yeah.
The only good thing he did was World War II. He was a kick-ass guy in World War II.
Yeah.
Until Harry Truman came, he was even better.
Yeah. I'm a peace dollar guy. Love the peace dollar. The Benji would be my half dollar. The quarter would probably have to be I like the Washington quarter a lot.
Washingtons are nice. I like them.
Yep.
Especially when they're circulated, just that look on them.
Yep.
I love them.
Mercury Dimes, and I just got my first roll of war nickels 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
I love them. They're so dirty. They look like there's no other coin that looks like them.
Yeah.
But the Buffalo nickel for design is just iconic.
Buffaloes are beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. They made the most famous round, generic round is your Buffalo.
Yeah.
And they copied the nickel.
Yep.
And even your Buffalo gold.
Yeah, and like for pre-33 gold, I love all of the Indian head designs. I love the only pre-33 gold I own is an NQ's $2.50 Indian that I actually bought from the Pawn Stars in Vegas when I was in Vegas last fall.
I've seen that video, man. They don't actually work there, right? They're not
they don't.
there.
No.
Yeah.
No, they weren't shooting or nothing, but their prices were fantastic.
Really?
Their prices were totally fair. I thought I was going to get the tourist smackdown, but
Did they have a lot? Did they have a
yeah,
lot of gold and silver?
yeah. They had Liberty heads. They had Indian heads. I don't remember seeing any St. Gaudens, but they had the Incuse Indians in $2 and $5, $2.50 and $5. So I got a 2.5, and I love it. And I know, like, for fractional gold, that's probably the highest premium I could pay. But sometimes you see something you like and you just buy it. So that's what I did.
Absolutely.
The cheapest last September when I bought that, I went to a couple of coin shows. The cheapest I could find one in good condition, like that wasn't just totally slicked out, was like $400. And I had a guy offer me try to sell me one for $380 that was barely recognizable as a coin. I got this from Pawn Stars for $350, so I was thrilled. Yeah. So, but I love the Indian designs. The other $10 piece with the Indian on it, fantastic, beautiful coin.
Beautiful, and they carry a very high premium. The Indian pre-33s. When it comes down to the $2.50, $2.50 coin, the Liberty has a more higher premium than the Indian, but the $5 and the $10, the Indian blows the Liberty away with premium. Very high premium, very expensive. I love pre-33, and this year I'm actually going to be stacking. That's going to be most of my stacking. I'm going to be stacking gold this year more than silver.
Me too.
And I usually stack them half. Every 50 to 100 ounces of silver, I buy an ounce of gold. But this year I've been stacking 30 ounces of silver a month and an ounce of gold. And that's what I'm going to be planning on. I'm going to be sticking more to pre-33 gold and mostly $20 pieces, Liberties, St. Gaudens, because they're you get more to banging your buck, and they're a little cheaper versus, like, because if you want a $5 Indian, it's under a quarter of an ounce, and you're spending $760.
Yep.
And I don't buy them slab, but they have to be in AUBU condition for me to buy them. I don't like them cleaned. Yep. I try to stay with clean, but they have to be in good condition. Yeah, absolutely. But the $5 Indians and the $10 Indians, they carry a huge premium. But again, the resale market on those are great. So you have to keep that in mind. If you do buy them, it might be expensive, but you can sell them for a great price, and they sell quick. And that's another thing. They don't make them anymore. They stopped making them in 1930. Well, they made them in 33, but the St. Gaudens is actually illegal. A 1933 St. Gaudens is actually illegal to own. But
you want to look at
33 is awesome.
You want to look at a high premium. I almost bought one that was jewelry because it was so cheap, but I backed out of it. The $3 gold pieces.
Oh my God!
There's a mega premium, and they're kind of ugly. They're not even terribly attractive, in my opinion. But that princess head, it's kind of weird looking.
Yep.
But
and then they have the $1 gold pieces. They have the Type 1, the Type 2, and the Type 3. The Type 2, that one goes for like $300-$400, $400-$500 in BU condition.
Really?
That one, because there's 3 types of the pre-33 gold.
Oh, sure.
Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3, and the Type 2 is the most expensive and the hardest one to find. And what was that pre-30 that gold coin they made that tried to match the rest of the country's gold coin? They wanted a universal size coin, and it was $4, I think it was, and only 400 were made, and they were handed out to all the guys, the men and women in the house, I think in the 1860s. And if you can get one of those coins now, they're like $100,000 or something like that. I forgot the name of it, but they made it to be a universal coin because they wanted to match they wanted it to be the same weight as this coin in France and England, and I got to look it up, but I think Matter of fact, it was on
Probably.
a show with Pawn Stars.
Huh.
It was on a show with Pawn Stars.
There's some very interesting coins that have come up on that show. My son, we love Pawn Stars.
Oh, I watch it. Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty
that
dopey,
American
of course,
Pickers.
but yeah. But yeah, they've had some very interesting coins. I'd like to get some ancient coins. You know, some BC
Roman coins. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And shipwreck coins. I don't have any. I'd love some shipwreck gold.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
That comes with a pretty premium too.
You ain't kidding. Well, it's like those trade dollars there that were going to Mexico from Spain to keep their little colony there up and running. Yep. And the boat sank. It sank, and then I guess they ended up selling it out to America because they couldn't keep their. Was that in Florida or something, or Texas?
Yes.
And they ended up selling out to something. I forgot the story, but it was interesting. But I think it was the Spanish. What was it? The Riola or
Real? The Spanish Real.
Real. Yeah.
And I don't have any of those either, but the Spanish Real is interesting because that is one of the oldest, longest standing silver coins.
Yeah.
The Real that, you know, I mean, that's hundreds and hundreds of years of history. And you can get those fairly low premium. Of course, condition is everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being a numismatic, but they're very cool coins. You ever watch Junius Maltby?
No.
Oh, dude. You've got his videos are long. He calls his videos the extemporaneous rants of a madman, and they are. But he is an absolute wordsmith, rhetorician. He talks about the Real fairly often, but that is a good listen. Like if you have a long drive, just pull up Junius Maltby and listen to him wax poetic.
Yeah, email me him too. I'll look him up. I'll probably just give you my number or something so you can just text it.
Yeah.
It's easier. There's so many guys out there that just post so many good stuff. It's hard to get to watch them all.
Junius Maltby is old school. He's been around longer than Salivate Metal. I don't know. I can't think of a single stacking channel that's been around longer than him. He goes back to like 2009 or 2010.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he is OG.
Wow.
You can still find some of his, he used to have bullion, gold and silver, with the custom design, you know, like some of the bigger stacking channels used to do. And those sell on, when they come up on eBay, they go for pretty high premiums.
Oh, wow. What's his name again?
Junius, Junius. Junius Maltby. He's over 30,000 subs. Let's see here. I'm gonna sort by oldest. See what his oldest video is. 9 years ago.
Oh,
his first video came out 9 years ago.
Wow. Look up Sal. How long has he been doing it now? He's been doing it a long time too. Him and Silver Bean Counter. Those guys, you know, all those old timers there on YouTube, they pretty much paved the way because before them there wasn't many stacking channels.
Yeah.
You know, and you had some of those guys, and now there's hundreds. I can't keep track, and I show support in the community. I sub to everybody. You know,
8 years.
8 years, yeah.
Yep, 8 years ago.
We got we have a couple more things here that they wrote. Those statistics. I can't even pronounce that word right now. Statistics. Yeah, there you go. Always blow my mind with the lottery.
Yeah, no doubt.
Spokane Silver Stacker. Gorio, silver will not tank this year, and the feds will go up. Gold will go up this year because of the raise in rates, because it's an election year and the administration can't afford a poor economy. What do you think on that, Potter?
Okay, the silver won't tank this year. The Fed rates will go up. Gold will go up this year. No, I disagree because it's an election year and because there's a red wave coming. And believe me, I'm an anarchist. I hate politicians. I hate Republicans and liberals equally. They're all evil. And so I hate them all. But Republicans tend to bring with them the misguided view of fiscal conservatism, which we know is mythology. But perception is truth, and markets are emotional. So what that's going to indicate is dollar strength. There's going to be dollar strength in spite of a rate increase. In fact, a rate increase could signal higher dollar confidence. So that could mean bonds go up, and that is going to mean suppression of metals. And by the way, I could be totally wrong about this. I concede I could be wrong about this.
These are all predictions that we're going by. We all try to, you study these things and you try to see what's happened in the past and stuff. But with elections and stuff, it's always the opposite party that does better after that one party is elected into office. Joe Biden is a Democrat. He was elected all the time, pretty much 90% of the time. The next election, the opposite party does better.
Right.
So of course there's going to be a red wave, and I'm considered a Republican, but I'm a conservative. I'm conservative. I'm a patriot. I'm for the original Declaration of Independence, our rights, our freedoms, and that's how I look at it. So but yeah, no, something just needs to. I don't care what you are, if you're green, purple, red. This country needs to be fixed, and we need to get right on track and go back to a good, strong economy with good, honest politicians.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I used to be a hardcore conservative. I was a Michael Savage, Rush Limbaugh, all of that stuff. But you know what, dude? Let me read you a quote and tell me where this is wrong. But whether the Constitution really be one thing or another, this much is certain, that it has either authorized such a government as we have, or it has been powerless to prevent it. In either case, it is unfit to exist. That's Lysander Spoon from his book No Treason, The Constitution of No Authority. He is a OG anarchist, and a lot of people associate anarchism with like chaos and the BLM riots and stuff like that. That's, anarchy is essentially volunteerism, that every transaction that happens between humans is voluntary, not compulsory. And nobody has authority over you except God. And so, but that quote to me, just when I heard that, I just can't find the flaw in it. The Constitution, it has either authorized the government we have, or it was powerless to prevent it. And I used to be the guy, we just got to get back to the Constitution. Well, the Constitution's a piece of paper. It's nothing. It's as fiat as the dollar bills in your pocket.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just like a marriage. That paper doesn't tell us how much more that just because we got married, that me and my wife, are nothing. There's people that's been together for years and love each other more than anything, and never got married. It's just a piece of paper. I consider a marriage a business, to be honest. It's more of a business. It's more as what you get and what I get if something goes south. But it doesn't tell me how much I love you. Just like going to church. Right. Do you have to go to church in order to believe in God and Jesus? Nope, absolutely not. But I think people just need to, have good values and understand that who has the final say, and which is our Lord, and just do the right thing. You know what I mean? We all just need to, despite our differences and stuff, and I'm a conservative. We grew up a conservative family. I'm an extremely conservative man. I always, most of the time I vote for, since I've voted, I've always voted Republican. But people just need to, now what the problem is now, there's no middle ground. It's either you're extremely right, you're extremely left. There's so much divide going on across the world, and we're just going to kill ourselves. People are just what we're doing now is terrible. Businesses are split apart. That you got right wing businesses, left wing businesses. People are rioting in streets and burning down cities, and just it's terrible. Medias are split in half. There's so much propaganda. It's a bunch of BS, and people just need to learn to live together again and learn to conversate in a decent way and show respect to others. You know what I mean?
Well, again, that goes against all of our conditioning. That's we're conditioned to be this way. And
yeah.
I mean, think of this. The death of religion in this country, and look, John Adams said it. Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate for the government of any other. Our founders were Christians of different denominations, but Christians nonetheless. They followed Christ. They believed the Bible, and they believed in its authority and its inerrancy, and they recognized, as John Adams said, it is for moral and religious people. And here's the deal: is in the 80s there was this thing called no-fault divorce. And thank you, Ronald Reagan, so-called greatest conservative Republican who ever lived. Well, he was the father of no-fault divorce, which means you can leave your wife or your husband without any reason, whereas before you had to have a biblical reason: abandonment, abuse, adultery. Otherwise it was off to arbitration or off to counseling, and the system is going to help you work this out, by the way, for the good of the children, because we recognize that children need a mother and a father to be balanced human beings. So no-fault divorce comes along and makes it easy. You know what? I don't need a reason to leave her. I'm just leaving her. Now, you're a Christian. Think of Ephesians chapter 5. What does the scripture say about marriage? That it's a picture of the gospel. Husbands, love your wives as Christ so loved the church and even laid his life down for her. So the gospel is embodied in marriage. So an attack on marriage as a picture of the gospel on earth is an attack on the gospel itself. And so then with that comes the free love and free sex movement of the 60s that preceded it. And after that comes the mass acceptance of homosexuality and now transgenderism and LGBT, ABCDEFG. And the church has no moral authority in any of these areas anymore because they accepted no-fault divorce. When the scripture says when you divorce your husband, when you remarry, you commit adultery, the church should have, as the Baptists initially did, the Baptists initially stood strong and said, if you've been divorced, our clergy will not remarry you. And if you get remarried, you are excommunicated from the church because they recognized the attack on the gospel that it was. Well, all they did was go to the Episcopalian church down the street to get married. And, just circumvent the system. And
absolutely.
And so now the church has no authority morally to speak on any issue against homosexuality. You lost your moral ground when you gave up marriage 40 years ago. Okay, so now how does that relate to the whole idea of the Constitution and our country and the direction that it's on? We are a post-Christian nation because of this. And so the Constitution is fiat paper because it is only fit for moral religious people. We don't have moral or religious people in this nation anymore. No. We are the minority. And it's not even close. They say, oh, there's 17 million evangelicals. No, there's 17 million pew dwellers.
Yeah.
Who think that by their showing up to church and by their putting money in the plate and their Phariseeism, that they have somehow earned their way into the kingdom, and it's just not how
it's ridiculous.
They
And
are a voting block, and
yeah,
that is it.
absolutely. We're definitely living in a sinful world, and
Oh, no question. And we
it
always have.
everything we do, and even me and you, everybody, we sin every day, and it's just, and we might not even know we're doing it. Just walking down the streets and you see a woman or something, or a commercial, or going to Burger King getting a meal.
Mm-hmm.
It's these are things that people didn't have to deal with back then, and God knows it's harder today because how the world is and how it's programmed. People are born into it; they don't even know.
Right.
But people need to start read a Bible. Just grab a Bible, read it. Not saying to go to churches now, because I stopped going to church because they're political. There are a lot of them are political. You have right wing church, left wing church. You have churches that marry, and I have nothing against gay people, but will marry two gay guys right in the church. They'll have churches with abortion signs in the front. Churches flying rainbow flags. Churches marrying people that had kids before marriage. And these are things that were not, you you would get stoned for this stuff back in the day. You know what I mean? This was unheard of. So
Well, right. And, we don't live under a theocracy. America's never been a theocracy. And in fact, um, you know, the Reformation was a rebuke to the theocracy that the Roman Catholic Church had spent 1,500 years building. So look, I don't believe that homosexuals should be stoned, but I believe they should repent. All sexual sin
absolutely,
is sin. And,
absolutely,
heterosexual sin is sin. Watching
absolutely,
pornography, adultery. I
absolutely,
mean, think of this. Go back to Matthew chapter 5. Jesus said, "You have heard it said by them of old, you shall not commit adultery. But I say unto you, if you even look at a woman with lust in your heart, you commit adultery with her already."
absolutely, absolutely. And that's what and I was just using examples.
Right, right.
I just things that are you know in the Bible, same sex marriage. It's
Forbidden.
yeah, absolutely. So I was using that as an example, but back in the day, if that happened, like in the 1600s, you would get stoned. Not saying it was right, but God is the God of many chances. He's the God of love. He's the God of everything, and He knows. He knows, even if you think it's in secret, He knows everything. And but people got to understand. They just have to. First of all, there's no way to heaven without accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and knowing that He sacrificed His life for us. But you also gotta like you said, repent, and like they say, born again Christian, and try to do the right thing. And we can never be as perfect as Jesus, but we can walk beside Him and learn and do things. And like I said, we sin every day, but as long as you ask for forgiveness and you repent, you know uh, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
But it's scary, and I understand a lot of people shy away from religion because it's scary. You read the Bible about the last days. That is the most scariest chapter in the Bible. It's scary, and I know people get scared and they try to shy away with it and live everyday life. But you got to understand what we're doing, saving our money, working every day, spending time with our kids and our family. None of that's gonna matter when the time comes. When the time comes, you got to understand who's first and who you should put in your heart first, because it's sad to say it, but a lot of people in this world are going to hell.
Broad is the
75
way that leadeth unto destruction, and many be thereat.
75% of this world, if not more, are going to hell. And it's sad. And that's why people, and I'm not trying to get all, I know this is a stacking channel. I do say in my descriptions, I talk about my faith. I talk about crypto, gold, silver, politics. But I'm not trying to get people scared or get all, if you guys are atheist or whatever, I don't want to, or whatever your beliefs are, I don't want to scare you, but, or knock your religion. But, I recommend for you guys to do the right thing and read the Bible and accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And it's never too late.
When you think of the scripture, it's a book of sacrifice, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, Adam sacrificed, well, his rib was sacrificed so that he could have a helpmate in Eve. After they fell in the garden and they were evicted, God sacrificed animals so that they could cover their nakedness. It was a covering of their sin. That's a picture of the gospel. Every sacrifice in scripture points to Jesus, because Jesus was the final sacrifice for sin. He on the cross, his last words were, "It is finished." No more sacrifices. Yep. And the Christian life is a life of sacrifice. And a sacrifice is nothing more than putting off or forsaking present pleasure for future reward. And that is what people will not do when they're rejecting Christ. It's well, for one thing, there's spiritual issues, which we could, that's we don't want to get too deep in the theology weeds here, but they think of, what do I lose? People are going to think I'm crazy. People are going to think I'm a religious weirdo. I'm going to have to go to church. I'm going to have to give up my Sunday football. I'm going to, whatever, there's a myriad. And I remember I've only been a Christian since I was 34 years old. All right. I got saved in 2008. So I remember those thoughts as my friend Ross was sharing the gospel with me, the guy who was, the reason that I'm saved today. And the thoughts going through my head is, what this means for the rest of my life.
It means
and
everything.
The sacrifice. And what did Jesus say? Count the cost. A builder doesn't start a project without first knowing the cost, and right.
Absolutely.
And so it's that was something Jesus said. He didn't say, well, he did. He said, come all ye who are weary and heavy laden, I will give you rest. My yoke is easy, my burden is light. So the message of Jesus is come to me. But with that, there was a cost. And he, look at the book of John, where he has all these followers and he's feeding the 5,000 with loaves and fish miraculously. And the next day they come to him. Why? Because he was a sideshow. They wanted to see the miracles. And he said, if you're going to follow me, eat my flesh and drink my blood.
Absolutely.
And what did they do? They walked away.
Yeah.
They walked away. So they didn't want Christ. They wanted all the benefits
that he had
of Christ, but they didn't want him.
Yep.
And that's
the people's problem. Absolutely. And a thing that aggravates me, and I know a lot of people don't know. I know a lot of people are scared. But they say, if there is a God, why did my grandma die? Why did my mom die? Why did my son die? Why did my daughter die? Well, why did God's son die? Why did Jesus die? For us. You know what I mean? So, if he could sacrifice his son for us, you know what I mean? Imagine how he felt, and he did it for us.
I'm going to a funeral this weekend. One of my best friend's mother passed away this fall. She donated her body to a scientific endeavor, and now her remains have been returned, and so they're doing the service for her. And I love Ecclesiastes, but particularly Ecclesiastes chapter 7. Chapter 7 verse 2 says, better to spend your time at funerals than at parties. After all, everyone dies, so the living should take this to heart. sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness has a refining influence on us. We're stackers. We know what refining means, right?
Yep.
You're separating the dross from the purity. It's a purifying influence that refining has, right? So sadness has a refining influence on us. A wise person thinks a lot about death, while a fool only thinks about having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I think about that's something you have to think about, and it's scary. Sometimes you go to lay down at night or something. You think, am I going to wake up tomorrow? It's scary to think that way, and people are afraid. They don't know what's after. They don't
wait
know
till you're 47.
Yeah, you
don't have to wait till you're in bed to have those thoughts.
Yeah, no, but people, listen. I think about it time to time, especially being a father, 4 kids, 4 beautiful kids that I love dearly, and my goal is to make sure that they're set if something were to happen. But that's why it's very important to be born again and understand the Bible, and and even if you don't read the Bible as much or memorize it and stuff, I'm not a believer in that you have to read the Bible and go to church 100% in order to believe in God. But as long as you know Jesus is your Lord and Savior, and you pray to Him and you do the right thing, you're on a good path. And like I said, he loves everybody. No matter what, believers, non-believers, sinners. We're all God's children. People just
you sure about that?
What happened?
You sure about that? We're all God's children?
Depends. Yeah, I think so. I think we're
all His creation. We're all His creation for sure, but
we're all His creation. Dad and Mom make us, right? So God made us, right? So I would consider it, His Jesus is His only child, but we're His creation children, whatever how you want to put it. You know what I mean? But
well, consider Ephesians 2:3, which says, that says, we were all once living by the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of our body and the mind, and we were by nature, children of wrath. So, and then it goes on to say, like the rest of mankind. So the child of God is the one who has turned to Christ by faith. And it says by nature. Well, what does he mean by nature? Our sinful nature. We're born dead in our trespasses and sins. So by nature, we are children of wrath. And it's only by God's grace that we become His child through adoption. Ephesians 1, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That beautiful picture of the gospel that he compares to adoption.
Yeah.
And what does an adopted child get from the father? The full inheritance.
Absolutely.
You're entitled to the full inheritance as an adopted child.
That's like in one verse there. I'm not the greatest with verses and memorizing things.
That's okay.
But when we all go to heaven, we all are created equal. We all inherit Jesus's crown.
Yep. And then just like Revelation talks about the Bema seat, when we all the rewards that are given to us, we take the crowns off and we lay them at His feet in recognition that this was a gift that came from Him, and now we're returning the gift to Him.
Absolutely.
And it's just an amazing, beautiful picture.
Absolutely, it is beautiful, and I'm scared. I'm scared for a lot of people, and I'm scared for the things I do at times. Sometimes I sit and think, hey, what I'm doing right now, is that am I sinning? Am I is this wrong? Because everyone has temptations. Everyone.
Look, Paul did the same thing, right?
Yeah,
Romans 7,
absolutely.
The things I want to do, I cannot do, and the things I know I should not do, I can't help but do. Who is going to save me from this body of death? That was the cry of Paul's heart,
Like Jesus there, when he was mocked and when they were making fun of him. And who was the disciple that said, I don't know him? I don't know him. Who is
Peter.
that? Peter, yeah.
Peter
3
denied him three
times, right?
times. Yep.
3 times. And then at the end, he realized that he sinned. He did the wrong thing. And he pleaded with God. And he forgave him.
That's the difference between Peter and Judas.
That's where people get
Judas,
the Judas kiss. The Judas kiss when he changed. Matter of fact, for silver.
30 pieces, right? Think about that. If 30 pieces, let's say that was 30 ounces of silver, what is the value of Jesus's life?
Absolutely.
$900.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. But it's such a beautiful thing. And, like I tell people, I don't want people to think that you have to read the Bible and go to church in order to go to heaven. You just need to.
I agree. I agree in principle. You don't have to.
But it's good to.
When if you truly desire to know the will of God, then you have to know the book that he authored to some degree. Right? Absolutely. So if people say, well, it's arrogant to think you know what the will of God is. Well, okay, but if you wrote a 66 chapter autobiography about all the desires of your heart, and I read it, would it be fair to say that I knew what the desires of your heart were? Not exhaustively, but what you wanted me to know, you put in that book.
It's like artists, man. Like artists, they draw a picture and, they want you to see a certain thing, but you can take different parts of it. It's I recommend everyone, that's the greatest book you can possibly read. One of the greatest, the only greatest thing out there. You know what I mean? It's amazing.
I consider myself a pretty heavy reader. I've read a lot of books, and I have never reread a book in my whole life except the Bible.
Yeah, that's my grandfather. He was a whaler, out in Norway. That was a big thing was fishing and oil.
Really?
He was a whaler, and he would travel across the world. He lived in Italy. He went to France. He went up to Russia. And this was back in the 50s and 60s. And he read that book. And he said that was the greatest book I've ever read. And he says, every chance I got, I reread it and reread it and reread it till he knew it inside out. And he could tell you every verse, every chapter. You can name one to him, and he'd say it right there. And one of his favorite ones was actually 3:16. That was his favorite one. But he was, and he told me, and I read it, and but I think I should start reading it more.
Well, think of Psalm chapter 1. Just read Psalm chapter 1 and the implications that are involved with that. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the step of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord. Now, the writer of the psalm here is not talking about the 10 commandments when he says the law of the Lord. He's talking about the entirety of Scripture, the Old Testament. Okay, so he delights in God's word, and who meditates on his law day and night. This person, the person who meditates on the law, is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yield fruit in season, whose leaf does not wither, and whatever they do prospers. Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I think I want to know that law.
Yeah,
I think I want to be close to that, So, and there's nothing in the Scripture that like, there's no commandment that says, thou shalt read Scripture every single day. I mean, there's a lot of churches that are legalistic in that way, and like, oh, hey, we're starting our Bible reading program today, so make sure you read this, that, and that. It's like, everybody has. So the brain is a muscle, like any other muscle, right? Mm-hmm. So the more you work it, the stronger it gets. And some people don't have a strong memory or a strong, like, maybe you're not a reader, golly, there's audiobooks, there's podcasts.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
if you just search a Bible on YouTube, how many videos are going to come up? I mean, my goodness.
That's why I watch AOC Network. They're on, like I said, they're
yeah,
on YouTube and Facebook. And every Sunday, I take a message that I like, that I think other people should hear, and I upload it every Sunday on my YouTube, and I name it weekly holy message, and I love it, and they explain it for people that it's hard to understand, because when you read the Bible, it's almost in like a different language, different words, different old words.
yeah,
It's you really have to pay attention. You really have to be in a spiritual, quiet moment to really read it and to understand. And
mm-hmm.
I recommend people to watch, because there's a lot of channels I watch on YouTube, and you have to watch out, because there's a lot of false preachers out there. There's a lot of people out there
For
that
sure,
that say that they're I can heal your leg. Only one person
right?
can heal, and that is our Lord
Yeah,
Jesus. But AOC, you haven't heard of them, but I definitely recommend to check them out. They're awesome, and I upload it, and I just wish it did better with views. And I understand it's a stacking channel and stuff, but I say in my disclaimer uh, what I talk about. But I think people should really get more into that and learn. You know what I mean? And it's never too late. It's never too
well,
late.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of stackers who are faithful. Yankee Stacking, a good Christian man. He does praying with Yankee, I
Yes,
think,
he
every
does.
Sunday.
Yes, he
And
does. He is awesome.
and I don't think there's anything wrong with people expressing, like look, we live in a world where people express all kinds of things. So why should we be exempt from being able to express ourselves? You know, people who love concerts, they wear concert t-shirts. People who like beer, they wear beer t-shirts. I'm going to wear a t-shirt with a Christian message on it because that's what I'm interested in, and I shouldn't be
Absolutely.
condemned for that.
Yeah, and
And
it's sad that in this world we live in now, they want to take God out of our national anthem. They want to take the word
yep.
"Amen" out of our Senate. They want to
Did
take
you see that? Did
a
you see that?
woman.
Yeah, a woman. Amen. And a woman. You idiot. Oh my
And it
goodness,
has
that was
nothing to
so
do with
cringe.
a man. Has nothing to do with a man. It's a Hebrew word, actually.
Oh my goodness, we live in idiocracy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the whole thing with Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas for the longest time. You can't say Merry Christmas. Bullshit. You know what I mean? Like they're shying away, and it's
Yeah.
sad. And like I said, you don't have to go grab a Bible. You don't have to go to church. Just believe, learn some things. Go on YouTube. That's what I do, man. I go on to YouTube, and I watch these videos, and I have a couple friends that are very good and that can explain things to me. Matter of fact, you're explaining some good things to me, and I love it. I enjoy it. And once I get some time freed up here, and have some quiet space in the house, I'm definitely going to pick up the Bible again and read it, because I want to be able to sit and relax and just read it. Because
Yeah,
it's
man.
it's a good read, and it's a great thing, and
Look,
it's
it's
awesome.
cleansing time, It's like it's
Absolutely.
cleansing. It's like washing away, and putting our focus right where we know it needs to be. Like when we have anxiety, worries, fears, doubts, well, what does he say? He says, cast all your cares on him, for he
Absolutely.
cares for you, And
Absolutely.
so part of reading scripture for me is that moment of worship, and knowing that I'm sacrificing my time that I could be watching YouTube or making a new video, doing another upload or editing or whatever, or instead I'm going to sacrifice that and put my focus where it needs to be, where it belongs, for even if it's for 5 minutes, and just reflect on who God is, and
Absolutely.
in contrast, who I am not, which makes me realize just how desperately I need him, So
Absolutely. We have John Morgan in the chat here, says, "Hey, I'm here. What's up, John Morgan? Everything I read
John
in the
Morgan.
Bible, you find every time I read the Bible, you find something new.
Yep.
Absolutely. We need to study more prophecies. I don't like churches that preach and show me the money every Sunday. I agree. I blame liberals for taking God out of school and Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah, I do. In my opinion, I do. I do see that. I see that they're pushing more pro-choice type things. They're pushing the whole removing the Pledge of Allegiance. God out of. I do see that.
Yep. And you
absolutely.
can blame Democrats for that, but show me the last time a Republican stood for it and proposed legislation to the contrary. You don't see it. You don't see Republicans opposing.
That's that's what I disagree with the Republicans. The problem with the Republicans is that they let the Democrats walk all over them. It's up until recently the Republicans started growing balls once Trump came into office. They started growing balls, a few of them. You have Ted Cruz out there. You have great governors like Glenn Youngkin that just got elected in Virginia. The guys that sit there and they call out and they actually they tell these guys, listen, you can't do this shit. And they're actually trying to get people to actually stand up. But problem is, a lot of the Republicans just sat in the corner and let them do these things. When they say, listen, we're against that, we're against that, we're against that, but yet they let them do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's where there's never a true. We need a politician that is by the Bible, that is by our freedoms, that's by our rights, that isn't a hypocrite, that doesn't, it's not two-faced, it's not about lining their pockets full of money.
Oh, so you're looking for a unicorn.
We're looking for, a leprechaun.
Something that doesn't exist.
An imaginary person, But I agree with you, man. Right now, what's going on, like I said, I'm conservative. I vote Republican. Because I tend to I lean towards their views. I'm a big when Trump came in. I put it this way: I was pretty much an independent before Trump, and I think a lot of people were. I think a lot of people were more independent. Once Trump came in, I became a full-blown. I've always been conservative in my family, conservative family. But once Trump came in, big Republican, conservative.
How much you're a stacker? How much did Trump reduce deficit spending by?
Now,
how much did he reduce the debt by?
When Trump was
0.
in office, it wasn't good. It wasn't good for stackers. My LCS says this too. In his business, running his business, it wasn't good selling gold and silver. When the market's good, you know what I mean. When everyone's freaking out and going nuts, he's making more money, and he likes it, the money fact of it, and selling, and people going crazy. But at the same time, he doesn't like the politics.
Yeah, well,
but
the problem that many people who, like I used to, and like you are currently, follow politics and are invested in it. The problem is that you're thinking that the politician is the solution, and therefore another politician is the problem. And the real problem is that our politicians are a distraction from what's really happening, which is the banks run everything.
Oh yeah, the banks, the businesses, Amazon,
the banks
Walmart,
make policy.
Yeah,
the special interests,
Silicon Valley.
When Obamacare, for example, became law, that affected my family in a major way, and that tens of thousands of pages of legislation didn't just poof out of nowhere overnight. That was written by lobbyists and special interest groups who delivered it to the representatives, who then signed it into law. So don't think our politicians are doing nothing except passing the legislation that their lobbyists are writing for them.
No,
the politicians are no good. They're the corrupt mouthpieces of the people in the shadows who actually run this country.
I agree with you. China is running this country. China is running this country. Businesses like Walmart, J.P. Morgan, Tesla, Google, Facebook. Absolutely, 100%. And a lot of these politicians are just in it to line their pockets.
Yeah.
You have a few good ones out there. There are ones out there, don't get me wrong, there's good and bad in everyone. There's good ones out there. But when you have 50 bad ones and 4 good ones, it's pretty hard to get your point across. And you know what I mean? And you can't, there's nothing you can do at that point. And especially you have those key figures in the House like Kevin McCarthy for the Republicans and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer for the Democrats. And they pretty much kind of go with them. You know what I mean? They have the final say. So when it comes down at all those people voting, they're the 2 main people. You know, and it's our system is screwed up, and I agree with you 100%. I do think that, like I said, despite people's views and stuff, I say I talk politics on my channel. I try not to as much because there's different views. I understand.
Oh, we lost viewers an hour ago when we started talking theology. No one's listening to this right now.
But that's the thing. That's the problem. When it comes to religion and politics, it's a very touchy subject. And that's what people got to understand. They got to have a decent debate. We're right now, you're disagreeing with things and agreeing with things. I'm disagreeing and agreeing. This is what people should do.
Called dialogue. Yep.
Absolutely. You should do it, but that's not how our houses and our Senate and everything's running right now. It's arguments, divide straight up. There's no compromise, and that's what needs to be done.
And again, you think that this is a bug in the system. I contend that this is a feature of the system. This is a design of the system.
Absolutely.
So the system has to go down. There is no fixing the system.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with the endpoints and stuff. And like I said, despite the system, and I see what a lot of things are going on, but I see more of a main. Like I said, the system. I know the system. It's all fucked up, and how the businesses are running this country, the big business, the elites. But I see the Republicans, not just Republicans. There's a difference between rhinos and, you got ones that just sit back and take it and don't do shit because they're afraid of losing their job. There's a lot of them because they've been doing politics for 40 years. They don't know nothing outside of it. But there's a few of them fighting back, and that are Christians that believing the people's rights and our great country. And that's despite what people thought of Trump. Yes, he's a billionaire. Yes, he's a businessman.
Yep.
But in my young life that I've been on this earth, running a business, selling houses, making more money, providing for my kids, my family, making sure everyone, I haven't had a better 4 years in my life. And granted, I only lived through 5 presidents, Clinton, George Bush, Obama. Am I missing one? No. And Trump. And asshole Cracker Jack that's in office now. But Trump's done an outstanding job, in my opinion. And he's turned the table, and he's put it this way. He's showing now what the system's doing. The swamp from Republicans to Democrats to liberals to rights to lefts to ups and downs. And he's waking people up now. And I'm sure you can see people are starting to wake up more in the fact of buying silver and gold, trying to prep and make sure their families are taken care of. They see what the prices are on things, and what's going on, the divide, the riots, the everything, the wars. That, we're about to be in a war, Russia and Ukraine, and China and Taiwan, and Hong Kong, and it's kind
bad.
of like the end days. You know what I mean? Like it's bad, man.
Well, I'll just say that I don't think my success or failure has never hinged on any politician, nor has yours. You having better success because of Trump being in office, correlation doesn't equal causation. So, yeah, I mean, there was still terrible monetary policy happening. In my opinion, the best thing that came from Trump is that there was no new wars started.
Yeah, absolutely. Strengthen our border.
I've seen a lot of presidents. I can't remember another president in my lifetime that didn't involve us in a war.
Yeah, and on top of that, he strengthened our military from shambles. I like the right to try. You remember the right to try? Pretty much when you were dying, and the hospital pretty much say, "Oh, this is all we can do," because they can only give you FDA-approved drugs. Well, now you're able to try unimproved drugs for experiments to save your life. So he passed that into the system. A lot of people like to, say, "Oh, he did this." He's passed more orders, and I think 80 years or something, or ever, and he made, the economy was great. It was a lot of upside. Yeah, don't get me wrong. His mouth got in front of him a lot of times, and that's why I think he didn't win this election, because of his how he talked. But
well,
there's
he didn't fire Fauci. He didn't pardon Assange.
He should have fired him.
And I'm not just trying to be a contrarian dink here.
No, absolutely. We're having a debate. So I
don't consider this a debate. I think that there is no problem so big that the government can't make it worse. So to put faith in a government or politician in any way is so misguided. We need to get back to individual freedoms and liberty, total voluntarism, 100%, and 100% abolishment of abolish to the police. I'm a fan. Get rid of the cops, get rid of the police, get rid of the military, and abolish our government altogether. My rights are not, Michael Malice says this, and I love it. My rights are not up for debate, let alone a vote. My rights are, as our founders recognize, we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights.
So do you consider yourself a sovereign citizen?
No.
No,
I'm not. I'm not going to jail. My family depends on me. So I'm not a sovereign citizen. I have a driver's license. I'm a hunter. I buy hunting licenses.
Mm-hmm.
But, one of the things that for example, when the lockdowns were happening and businesses were being shut down and people were scared, well, I'm going to lose my license. I'm going to lose my license to do business if I don't obey these orders. The question I always ask is, why have you ever questioned why it is you need a license to transact with another person? Why is the government involved in this transaction between you, your vendors, and your customers with this license? There's one reason. It's fee. It's money. It's,
absolutely.
It's a tax. It's another way that they've devised to steal from you. They're not interested in the public good. They're not interested in anybody's safety. They're only interested in your money, what you can provide them. That's it. So, if people would just imagine this, imagine the world just wakes up to anarchism one day and there's like a global epiphany on it. And on April 15th, people just choose not to pay their income taxes. People just refuse to pay their property taxes. You're not stealing from me anymore. This is my property. And I'm not being compelled. That's what choice is. But choice is a lack of compulsion. Compulsion is you get your way no matter what I do. You know, people say, well, you have the vaccine. Yeah, you have a choice. You can take it or not take it, and then you suffer the consequences. But either way, you still get your way. I either get the vaccination or I lose my job. So you win. It's a heads I win, tails you lose situation. That's not a choice. That's Absolutely. Compulsion. It's slavery. It's the opposite of liberty.
You know, I agree with you in points. Like the whole cop and military thing, I'm not for abolishing that. I disagree. But with things like fishing licenses and hunting licenses and license to get a pistol, a lot of these things is ridiculous. For example, like houses. No matter what, you like. If I were to go buy if I say, okay, like my business, I get a lot of cash in my business, and then a lot of my builders, you know, all commercial, those go into the business. Now, if I said, okay, I made $300,000 this year, and my business is showing, okay, I can go get a house, no problem, and you pay a lot in taxes. Now, if I only showed, say, 10,000 or 12,000, I won't be able to get a get a how's it go there? Get a house, but no, you can't get a house if you only show so less, and no matter what you do, they get you. They no matter what they do, they get you on paying taxes on everything. This whole bill they just passed now with the $600. If you get $600 a year through Zelle, Cash App, PayPal, eBay, you're getting 1099 for it. It's ridiculous. It's they want to. I understand 100%. They want money for everything, and it's in a way, you know, you want to be able to go fishing off a private, not a private, like a public lake. You got to get a fishing license for that to get food for your family.
Let me ask you why you think we need police.
To protect law and order. You know what I mean?
But they don't. Look at the BLM riots. What did they defend and protect during the BLM riots? They utterly stood down while $20-some billion in property damage was being done.
That's what came down to that was, now look at it this way. And in states that are heavily red, the majority of people are armed. The governors, if riots were to start off in those states, in those red states, they would have been stopped. Dead stopped. They wouldn't even have
by the people. By the people, not by the police.
The governor, like for example, Governor DeSantis of Florida, he said if riots were to come, they wouldn't. First of all, they'd have to get through our police, our National Guard, and our people. And it's a proven fact in red states, most people have guns, and there's less crime. Now, states
so what does that have to do with the police? You're saying there's less crime because people are armed, not because there's more cops walking the neighborhood.
People with guns is a deterrent as it is, and then the cops.
Agreed.
The cops with in government red states, where governors aren't afraid to protect their people and send out law enforcement to stop rioters, looters, practically terrorists. They're not going to stop. They're not going to hesitate. Governor DeSantis said it. Now you have places like Oregon, Minnesota, there, or Michigan, wherever it was, where they
Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Those liberal mayors were afraid to send out the cops because they were afraid what they were going to, because they're not getting Black Lives Matter, Antifa. Oh, we don't want to get them mad. We don't want we don't want to. We know they're going through a hard time. We don't want to come across racist.
Well,
and that was their whole thing. And they told the cops to stand down. They told them to stand down.
Right.
And
so that tells you who the cop serves. The cop serves the state. The cop does not serve the people.
And
so whatever the state orders the cops to do, they will do it. So when the state orders the cops to take you to a train car that's going to take you to a concentration camp, and of course I'm being hyperbolic here, I recognize that, they will do it. And they will not question the order. Look
at it this way. Your job told you to get a vaccination. You know that job's feeding your family. You have the choice to get they really don't give you a choice now, or you're going to get fired and you're going to be unemployed. That's like the cops. If I don't do this, no matter how wrong it is, I'm going to lose my job. I can't feed my family.
How much money, Chris, how much money would you have to be paid to arrest a 9-year-old for not wearing a mask in a museum? How big of a salary would you have to be to be such a piece of shit? Listen, how much money are you willing to take to be such a piece of human shit that you would arrest a 9-year-old in a museum for not wearing a mask?
I wouldn't do that.
Of course you wouldn't, because you're a decent human being, and cops aren't. Cops are agents of the state and enemies of free people.
Yeah. No,
think of the statement. Think of this. Everyone knows this. Especially, are you a gun owner? If you're a gun owner, you definitely have heard this before.
Absolutely.
When seconds matter, the police are only minutes away.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I also
so the mayor, the sheriff in Milwaukee County, when there was this was during the Ferguson riots, and then the riots that broke out in Milwaukee after that. He said it's not the cop's job to prevent crime. It's the cop's job to investigate crimes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's where it comes down to this with the cops and versus in California and very liberal areas versus cops in Texas. It comes down to the divide. The cops and the people of Texas are going to listen to, they're going to be more conservative area. They're going to be conservative. They're going to be like, shoot the fucker. Who cares? And the liberals and cops in those areas, they're going to think otherwise. It comes down to the divide, and it's everyone's divided. Everyone, the military, the cops, the people, the store owners, the politicians. That's where we're getting at. It's divide, because cops in my area, they'll give you a fucking ride. They're bringing food to people. I believe there's good and bad in everybody, and there's crooked cops out there. There's good cops out there. There's crooked people out there. There's good people out there. It comes down to a lot of things, and don't get me wrong. I've seen some things on the news. I've seen videos, dash cam footage, cops arresting people because they didn't want to put a mask on because someone ordered them to. Right. I understand. That's messed up. That's our right. We should be able to.
The biggest blessing, in my opinion, of the coronavirus lockdowns, the pandemic, the whole thing is conservatives being red-pilled on the cops not being your friend. The cops, this whole back the blue thing, that is such a Stockholm syndrome mentality that why do I want to back my enemy? They are not if they work for the state. And okay, maybe there are some good cops, but again, it only takes one bad day for that cop to destroy someone else's life. And then, because they have qualified immunity, they will never be held accountable for that. They will not be held accountable, not in the way that you and I would be.
I get where you're coming from, but I think it differs in the state and the city and who's running it. There's cops out there that, like I said, that are strictly doing it just for a sick, kinky pleasure, to having that ego power trip. There's a lot of cops out there. Don't get me wrong.
Dude, I don't trust anybody who has the desire to be a cop, because all that means is you want power over me. And I don't trust anybody who thinks that they should have power over me. And so to your point about the red states, I agree with you. I agree with you in principle on that. But I believe if you took any cop out of that red state and put them in Portland, they would be just like every other Portland cop, because they're going to do exactly what the state tells them to do. In the red states, they're told to uphold the law and to not stand down to rioters and all this, and they do it. They listen, because that's what a cop is. They're programmed listeners.
I see where you're coming from.
Right.
But there was cops, hundreds, leaving Portland, leaving California, leaving Wisconsin, due to that, due to the situation of standing down and clenching their fists because they couldn't do anything without losing their job.
Yep.
And they were moving to states like DeSantis said, we'll take all you cops, we'll take all your nurses, all your doctors, come to Florida, we'll give you a good life. And they all went there. People are leaving Hollywood, leaving these liberal Hollywood movie stars and these liberal studios and going to the Daily Wire, and they're making movies because they're taking them because you don't have to get vaccinated if you don't want to. You don't have to wear a mask. You know what I mean? Just because you carry a gun, you're not, So I think there's good and bad in everybody. I'm not going to say, I'm a big supporter of the police. Like I said, there's a lot of guys out there that are crooked. I've come across cops that I filmed the minute they walked up to my door, and I gave them hell because how they pulled me over for no reason. Then there was cops that I went and bought them coffee. You know what I mean? Just because, it's good and bad in everybody. I look at it as, but there is, I get where you're coming from. I understand 100%.
Let me ask you this, Chris. When is the last time you saw one of these good cops arrest a bad cop?
I haven't seen it personally, like in person, but I've seen it videos. Cops drinking and driving. Instead of, they had the dash cam on, said, listen, and the cop would say, oh, I'm a cop. Can you do anything for me? Can you do anything for me? And they said, listen, man, damage is already done.
Why? Because the dash camera's on. The evidence, what if the dash camera wasn't there? The camera's the witness that never lies. So if that camera's not there,
it's hard to say because there's, like I said, there's good and bad. Would I sit there and say all of them would do that? No, not at all. Yeah. Maybe half and half. Yeah, there's probably half of them that would do it and say yeah, and half of them that wouldn't. There's videos out there.
What do they say about one bad apple?
Well, how did that go again? The whole bunch.
Yeah.
Well, it's a ripple effect. I understand that. It's like a lot of things. You come home with a bad mood from work, and your wife and your kids are at home, and you're stressing. They can see you're in a bad mood. You're not talkative. Then your wife's going to be in a bad mood. Your kids are going to be in a bad mood. It's a ripple effect. It affects everything, and it just comes down to what's going on in this country and the divide, and that's why people need to work together and understand it. Maybe come up with a new system or try to. Honestly, I was talking to my LCS the other day, and I said, they're working on this Build Back Better bullshit. Now it's in the Senate. They're trying to get the moderate Democrat Joe Manchin to vote on this bill when he's saying he's probably the only Democrat out there that has some sense because he doesn't want to vote on the bill. But once they threaten his job, I'm sure he'll vote on it. But they're trying to vote this bill in. But I said to my LCS, instead of us voting for Republican, Democrat to get into office, why didn't the whole country get a letter and let us check off the boxes and send it in and then see how many fucking votes you got for this bill and then pass the damn thing? Because so many people could be running for a Democrat and then get elected and say, oh, I'm Republican. So many people can say I'm running for Republican and then get elected and they're Democrat. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
I think we should all vote on the bill, not vote for that person that can easily turn. And then you're just sitting there like, man, I voted for this person and now he's in and look what he's doing.
Yeah.
So, but.
Well, hey, man, I'm ready for bed.
Me too, man. What time is it by you?
1:16 a.m.
So you're an hour behind me.
Yeah, I get an extra hour of sleep.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Hey, man, it was a pleasure.
No, this is a good chat, dude. We're probably going to have to break this up into like 15 parts.
Well, we have 2 parts because the one I restarted. So this first one was like an hour. This is 2.5 hours. So
yeah, it was a good chat, man.
But man, it was great talking about gold, silver, politics, religion.
Yeah.
You know, it was awesome, man. It definitely was. And eventually, should do it again soon.
Sure, I'd be totally up for that.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll have a debate. Just a debate.
You may want a more worthy opponent than me, buddy.
All right, man. Good night. Thank you guys all for coming in. B2, God bless you, man. John Morgan says FEMA camps. Yeah, that's for next combo. See you later, man. Good night.
See ya.
Peace.